Where the fuck is McClay?
Okay.
Yeah, I got your ass.
I'm going to say it too.
Have a thing.
The Bogcast podcast, episode 66, Eric Walters. Did I do it right?
You did it right.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Action.
Awesome. This is the Bogcast, episode 66. We are brought to you by Bang Salon. Come get all your hair needs, including cuts, natural colors, vivid colors, extensions, shampoo and stylings, all under one roof at Bang Salon. Find and message Bang Salon on Instagram at Bang Salon at BANGDSALON. Use promo code
Bogcast.
for 20% off your first visit. So come on down and get banged by Jordan. But if you really try to bang her, I'll fucking kill you. Cool.
That was great.
Check out us on Spotify, Google Play, all your favorite podcatchers. Are we on iHeartRadio? We should get.
I think so.
Yeah, check us
There's a bunch of
out.
shit
I think
I
we
don't
might
even
be
know.
on iHeartRadio. So like and subscribe, and make sure you comment. Let us know what you think of the guest. Let's do it.
Sweet. We have a really awesome guest in the house today. He's from a podcast here in Arizona called tapthataz podcast. He also is a co-author of a awesome book called The Arizona Beer Book, which features all kinds of amazing breweries from all over Arizona. I highly suggest, we'll get into it here in a minute, but thanks, Eric Walters, for joining us today. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. This is
brother.
awesome, dude. Like, your feet are up. Like, this is the most comfortable.
My shoes aren't in the scene, are they? Is there shit on there? Okay.
Is there shit? Is there literally
That's
shit?
my worst fear. There's just like shit on the bottom of my shoe the whole time.
Just like a clump of shit with like hair hanging off it, like the grossest thing you could imagine. Yeah, dudes, thanks for having me, man. This is I'm envious of this studio right here. This is sweet, man.
We
Yeah.
appreciate it, brother.
Yeah.
We really do. We also appreciate the things you're doing out here, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, fucking. We were just talking kind of a little bit about the Arizona scene and kind of how things are working out down here right now, and I appreciate people that are doing what you're doing, kind of keying in, and then also being a creator at the same time. You know
Putting
what I mean?
people on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. That's kind of the ethos behind tapthataz is helping to put Arizona beer on the map. You know, like we're in an awesome. We were talking about this before. We're in an awesome place. Arizona's a really cool spot. Phoenix is awesome, but so is Flagstaff. So is Southern Tucson. Southern Arizona, Tombstone. All those places, and everybody's making great beer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just think that we're highly underrated in the beer world. Like, people think of like Denver, and now this is some beer nerd shit, so bear with me, right?
No,
you're
let's get
good.
into it, brother.
No, this is the shit I want to know.
Well, the meccas of craft beer really are, Portland, San Diego, Denver, right? So they're the ones that get all the accolades. But then you got the East Coast and places in between. Nobody seems to think about Arizona as for food, for drinks. People think, myself included. I moved here in 2007, and I thought
Where'd
it was
you move from?
From Ohio.
Ohio, okay.
From Ohio, yeah. So I grew up outside of Youngstown, Ohio. I don't know if you guys have heard of
Oh
Youngstown.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, probably not good stuff you heard.
Well, I think I want to say, isn't that where Red Band's from?
Brian
I don't know.
Redman, is he really?
I
don't
think
know.
he is. I think Red Band might be from Youngstown.
No shit. That would make sense.
No, or it's either Red Band or Tony Hinchcliffe.
Oh.
It might be
Hinchcliffe.
It might be Hinchcliffe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I know John Caparulo. Do you remember John
Yeah,
Caparulo?
yeah.
He was like maybe half hour south of Youngstown.
Okay.
So he was like 20 minutes from where I grew
So
up.
where is that in comparison to Columbus?
So Columbus is like southern, mid-southern. Is that
Okay.
even a description?
Yeah, yeah.
South Central. South Central Ohio. So yeah, that's more south.
Okay.
Columbus is a cool city. So where Youngstown is, it's basically between Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
Oh,
so
cool.
yeah, so our town was right on the border of Ohio and Pennsylvania.
So
is this a big beer, they're big beer towns?
exactly, yeah.
Well, no. So like beer wasn't huge growing up. Like, we had Great Lakes Brewing, which is still one of the like the original true craft beer brewers, right? So that was in Cleveland. But dude, I didn't drink craft beer, man. I drank like Genesee and Natty Light.
Yeah, Natty Light. Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, and the Tall Boys.
Yeah.
And yeah. So that's what we drank. My dad would explore a little bit, and he would get like a Great Lakes IPA or something like that, or Killian's. Like Budweiser had the Killian's, Amber Bock. Seemed craft, but it was like just their, you know what I mean? It was their shit. Yeah,
it was kind of like the training wheels craft, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what kind of got me kind of making that transition. But it was an interesting place to grow up because it was very blue collar, right? I mean, these are old steel cities, dude. Like, but in the past, 30, 40 years since steel got shipped, overseas, now you have Cleveland and you got Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh kind of got back on its feet with sports, dude. I mean, Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, all great sports teams, great culinary scene, great art scene. They have like a huge medical campuses for like colleges and things like that.
They started shooting films there too. A lot of films got shot there.
Yep.
Like Batman got shot there and shit.
Exactly. Yeah. So Pittsburgh kind of got back on its feet. Cleveland still kind of working at it. Youngstown was like that, the one that was left behind, where it was the highest murder rate per capita for like 30 years. One of the last mafia strongholds.
Damn.
Sports tragedies. You remember? Do you guys remember Boom Boom Mancini?
Yes.
He was from Youngstown.
Oh, wow.
Remember he killed the dude in the ring. Did you ever hear Kelly Pavlik?
Yep.
So the ghost Kelly Pavlik just freaking shot up at this superstar, knocking people out, and next thing you know, he's an alcoholic. That's the Youngstown
real
story.
World problems, man.
Yeah. Maurice Clarett, you remember Maurice Clarett from Ohio State? Another one that was like, dude, this guy is the next NFL superstar. Like 6 months later, they pull him over on the freeway with a bulletproof vest on and all these rifles in his car and shit. So it's an interesting part of the world, man. It's an interesting part of the world, and so I've always had that blue collar work mentality, and that just grateful for everything that you have, right?
Yeah.
But I also had this creative drive that was just always in me to be like, fuck, man, I want to make something. I don't know what I want to make, but so it frustrated me for many years.
So that frustration was that both here in Phoenix and in Youngstown?
Mostly in Youngstown. I got to do something here.
Oh, you're good.
There we go. All right.
Yeah.
A little shout out to Mother Road Brewing in Flagstaff. They were episode number 1 and 100.
You know what's funny about that is we have our guest that was number 1. We had him as 50, but we also want him as number 100 also.
No
so,
shit.
Yeah, that's funny.
You kind of have to do that.
Yeah, you
right?
have to.
Yeah. So what was the question you asked about?
So I'm wondering, like, so you get to Phoenix and you have this, you just want to be creative, and then you just stumble upon this beer scene here, and you're like, this is it?
Yeah. So growing up, like I loved drawing. I loved really anything where I can create. I wasn't real good at school. I was smart, but I hated school, man.
Yeah, I hated it.
Right there, dude.
Fuck that school.
Worked as hard as we could to probably not have to, if I would have put half that effort in just doing shit. You know?
Yeah.
They don't teach you shit anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I just learned how to cheat.
Oh, yeah, really well though, right?
Very well.
Which actually,
I know how to write the
value.
most amount of words on the smallest piece of paper.
I can write.
Make sure your hand's sweaty so you can write on the desk and just wipe it off. All kinds of shit.
You could fit 200 words on your finger now. Like, dude, how do you do that?
Cheating. I just wonder what cheating has evolved to these days with the devices.
I don't think teachers care, dude. I think
Yeah.
teachers are like, hey, if you're going to figure it out, I'm cool with that too.
Sure.
If you can figure out how to get the answer,
'Cause everything's
that's
on Google
just
anyway.
as good as listen. Some of the most influential people and the smartest people in this world have been the people that might not know the answer but can go find a way to get the answer.
True that.
For real, man. That's true. And you know what? That's I don't want to make it about me.
No.
But I think that's what I've gotten really good at.
Yeah.
Was like, dude, my friend last night was like, dude, I want to make steak for my wife. I wish we could get that. What is it? Wagyu beef,
Yeah,
whatever.
Wagyu, yeah.
I texted like one person. He's like, yeah, dude, I got 4 for you. It's like, but you still know who to reach out to. Like, I don't know. I know the basics about building a website. I know the basics about video editing, audio editing. But if I can find somebody who loves what I'm doing, wants to be part of it, and they're better at it.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
I'm like that too.
Spread it out.
Just
right?
surround yourself with people that are better than you know what I mean? And they'll just
Yeah.
make you better at that too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But also I found them, you got to know a little bit about it so you can tell when people
So
are
you can
trying to fuck
bullshit?
you. Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. You know what I kind of think
No,
it is?
I think it was someone at ST that I met. They always told me, instead of knowing a lot about something, just know a little bit about everything. You can
About
bullshit
everything.
with anybody, and that's true.
It is true.
Well, not only that, it's funny. I forget. I think Bodie Belanzia put this post up, and it was this. You remember the movie Colors?
The one with Sean
Penn and
yeah.
Robert Duvall. So there's that scene where Robert Duvall tells that joke about the two bulls, the old bull and the young bull.
Yeah.
And the new bull says, let's run down this hill and fuck all those fucking cows. And the older bull says, now let's walk down there, let's run down that hill and fuck one of those cows. And the older one says, now let's walk down there and fuck them all. And that's what it is. When you get older, you're forced to find ways to get things done that you might not be able to do.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
It just comes with age. It comes with age how to do things the easy way.
Yeah.
There's so many there's ways to do things, like the easy way and then the fucking hard way.
Yep. Well, and you have to be able to do, unless you're some phenom
Yes.
that knows all the
Yeah.
shit, right? There are a few. Then there's a few people. A guy that really stands out for me locally is Dave, one of the owners of the Shop Beer Co. in Tempe. Dude is super creative. If you guys ever been to the Shop Beer Co., they have this whole brick wall on their patio, and it's graffiti. And Dave,
Yes.
you've seen that?
I've seen that.
That's awesome. And Dave did that. But then you talk to him, and he's also this brilliant business strategist as well. It's like you don't find that the combo.
It's probably because he loves it too.
Sure. Yeah.
Like when you love what you're doing, when you're excited with what you're doing, you want to talk about it. You want to tell people about it. You want to put it out there, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but it's hard to find the people that are creative and business savvy at the same time.
You're exactly right.
A lot of artists don't have that,
Well,
and their art goes nowhere.
here's
But
a
when you have
perfect-
that business savviness, I mean, that kind of dude's unstoppable.
Yeah.
Well-
The War of Art. There's a book recently.
Oh, yeah.
The War of Art. And it was how do you get paid for the shit that you put in? Because I don't think about that.
No.
That's an art in itself.
Exactly. My co-author, Luke Irvin, my business partner as well, that's where he comes in, right? So we're this great partnership because I've got the relationships with people, and I've got these ideas. I'm like, dude, what if we do this crazy fucking weird idea and we get Cider Core involved? And he's like, well, yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, all right, now you figure out how we can get paid for it. And 99% of the time it works out, right? Because that's what he loves. He loves, all right, shit, man, how can I make this into something?
Yeah. That's
right.
cool.
Where I'm just like, dude, how can I make this super cool?
Yeah.
And we both love that role, the role that we play too. Yeah.
That's important. You got to find somebody. If you are going to partner up with somebody, you got to make sure it's somebody that you can, you're both getting something out of it. Not only money wise, but he's getting excited to do it.
Exactly.
So
Yep. We'll go back to your question. So that drive, that
I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
That was my question. I'm just kidding.
you were
I'm just
asking
playing.
about the. Wait a minute. What was it again? No shit. So it's kind of
Well, it's
cheesy.
more about just you getting to Phoenix and discovering beer and using that as a creative outlet.
Yeah,
and the podcast.
Well, so it's kind of cheesy, but so my grandma had always said to me, she's like, you were meant to do something special. You were meant to, I don't know what it is, because she was very creative. My mom was very creative. My dad's very creative. And she knew I was frustrated, just really growing up, right? I was good at sports. I didn't give a shit. My friends would get mad because they love sports, right? That was their life. And I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And then I would go in and take over games, right? And they're like, God damn it, man. We're trying to, be serious here in the game, and you're making fucking jokes and asking where the party is after the game, right? So I've been talented at things, but just never, it was like, yeah, I'm good at it, but I don't really like it,
Yeah.
But I knew there was something out there for me.
Don't you think there's a problem with, did your parents not give you, a creative outlet to even see if you're creative?
They didn't withhold it, but they didn't say, hey, try this. Let's get you into these type of things.
I think that's a problem, because I feel like I went through that too. And I was just thinking about the other day how I grew up on sports, all the way up until 8th grade. And then I discovered guitar.
Yeah.
And from there on, I was like, fuck sports. I'm all about, music. But I always knew that whole time that I like sports, and you know,
Yeah.
I wanted to get good at it, but there was something holding me back, and I wanted to be creative, and I felt like if my parents just gave me the opportunity to try being creative at a younger age, you know what I mean, I maybe wouldn't have been as bad as a teenager in a sense, you know, because when I got into music, I hate to say this, but they were kind of resentful because I didn't do sports anymore. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I feel like parents should give kids, you know, if you're giving sports to them, that's cool, but you know, give them a guitar, or give them some paint lessons, or you know.
I think that's happening more and more nowadays.
I hope so. I don't know. I don't have kids.
Well,
but.
Can you hand me the weed grinder? The grinder.
The shredder. Were you going to call it the shredder?
Yeah. yeah. You can hear.
Sorry.
No, you're good, man. You're good. And I agree with you. But I think that kind of goes back a little bit to where I grew up, right? There's like, shit, you don't have time to fucking be creative, dude. You work 60 hours a week.
That's true.
At the Chevy assembly line, dude. That was if you could get a job at Lordstown, it was like this huge GMC assembly line. If you could get in there, dude, you were set for life. But you're fucking drilling one bolt into the bottom of a frame of a car for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, hating
for
life.
60 years. Yeah.
Hating life.
Hating it. And what do you do then? Like, you retire, and that's an issue now.
We were just talking about that.
Really? Like, of just hate, like,
well, how people live, you know, you work 60.
You guys were talking about Lordstown? What the hell?
No. Just working your life away, and, you know, then you retire, and by the time you retire and you enjoy life, your body's broken and destroyed from everything from...
Or you don't know anything else, right?
True.
You know, you got, because my dad's at the age where, you know, a lot of his friends, he had several friends that worked at the assembly plants. He's like, dude, they're 60, they're retired, they have no skills. They don't know what to fucking do. They have no purpose. That, you know what I mean?
But you know, there's a certain respect for that. I mean, that time period and when they got those jobs and where they came from. I mean,
America.
that was, you know, you came to America.
That was the American dream.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't disrespect that, but I don't feel like I fit in a cubicle or in doing those kinds of things. Like times are changing on that for sure.
Dude,
so.
I had an eye-opening experience. So let me. I'll just tell you the quick story now because I don't want to forget it. So before I quit, so I worked 10 years call centers, basically. I worked for University of Phoenix for 9 years. So I was an enrollment representative. It was basically sales. Like, I'm trying to sell people on University of Phoenix, right? All on the phone. 9 years there, and then I did a year at like it's prison. I did a year at it was, and I always told myself, I'm like, man, University of Phoenix, if I could just get out of here, go to this new company, I'm like, this is fucking worse. Like this, I didn't think, but it was also because I found what I loved, right? So this time now I'm balancing, like, shit, I got this that I'm not making money on, but I love this. This is where my future's at. So I'm already starting to do podcasting and getting into the beer community, and I go to I don't know where I was, but I've come walking back into our office, right, into our call center. There's probably like 60 people in this area, and let's say 15 of them are standing up, right, trying to get some movement in during the day. You're on the phone, you can stand up and pace back and forth in your cube. And I looked, and I just had this vision. I'm like, these people are literally tethered to their desk. We're fucking animals. Like, we are animals, and like I can't do this
the
anymore.
Matrix.
That's exactly it is. Dude.
Yeah,
that's why I think when you just see all the cars on the freeway, it's just like the Matrix. And
it's
I've done all those jobs, cubicle jobs. I've done telemarketing before. I know all that shit, how that style of life.
And you know what, man? Here's the way I look at it.
It's corporate America, brother.
But there are people that thrive in that, and we need that stuff.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
You need the people that love. Like, my wife is. If you tell her, say, hey, what's your top 3 songs? She knows what they are, but she's like, I don't fucking know. I don't want to do this. She doesn't like to be creative, but she's very good at, rules. And so she does, like, commercial real estate. So she understands, like, leases, and she loves that stuff.
Love that stuff.
Loves it. Yeah. She loves it. And she's
data
very
entry.
Good at it. Yeah. Or just
sitting behind a computer all day, and they love it.
Yep. So I don't know, man. I think it's just finding what do you like? Like, what do you find passion? What do you get, drive?
All right. So you're at University of Phoenix. You're working there.
Yeah.
Did you start thinking about the craft beer stuff there, or was your way out, or like?
Well, he was drinking because of the university.
I know, that's what I mean.
On the job. I was drinking on the job.
Just
Do you realize it was like one of those Disney movie moments where it's like, you realize you're here drunk at work? I'm like, I could drink at work if I,
like the bubble comes
yeah.
out the cloud.
Oh shit, thank you. Fuck you, you're cool, you know.
Yeah.
So
I always wanted to do that.
I know.
Fuck you.
I just had
You're
my
cool.
chance
Fuck
last
you.
week, and I didn't do it.
You should have, man.
I sat there.
Congratulations to you too, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations for you for getting out of that. Yeah.
But
That
just
would've
real quick,
been perfect.
I thought about it. Like when they were giving me their spiel, I sat there and I just thought about it, and I went, "This is my chance, just to tell these motherfuckers."
Pussed out.
Yeah. And I went, "No, fuck it, I'm out. Let's do it." You know,
That was probably a good move. That's probably a good move. Yeah.
know.
In the moment, it's like one of those beer
But
schools.
I think it was a bad move.
Yeah.
You should have did it.
As soon as I got home, and I told
wouldn't
him,
have, but-
as soon as I got home,
I wouldn't have either.
Only me.
Yeah, this is the type of guy that makes somebody else smoke DMT. Yeah.
I didn't make you do anything.
No, you're right. You didn't make me do
I just
anything.
suggested it. And then
Yeah, you saw when I was starting to feel weird that I'm not gonna do this.
How was that? Was that insane or what?
It didn't work, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you mean didn't work? I didn't know if there was a chance of it not working.
I think
I think you got the wrong tone.
I think I overheated it.
I don't know how any of that works, but
it's
Keith won't tell you. He's like, dude, you were out for 2 days. Like,
No. It was just funny watching him try, and then how disappointed
I was
he
so
was.
mad. I was so.
And then he got mad at me for not doing it, and I'm like, why the fuck would I want to do it if like he's like, I feel weird. I'm like,
I didn't get
don't
mad.
want to feel weird.
I didn't get mad.
I feel weird because I don't feel weird.
Yeah.
Is that weird? Does that mean it's working? Shit. Once again, the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Oh
But-
shit.
But yeah, so you're at University of Phoenix. You're thinking
Yep. Yeah. Well, so
a way to get out.
Yeah. Well, really how it all kind of came about. So I moved away from Ohio. So I basically lived in Ohio and Pennsylvania from time I dropped out of college, 1999, 2000, something like that. So just couldn't find shit, man. I couldn't even find a job that I like to do, right? Like I would do the best job I had. 5 years I was a forklift operator for a shipping company.
Yeah.
And it was fun, man. It was really good pay. And
Did you ever fuck anything up?
fucked all kinds of shit up, man. So much. And I was good. Like, I was good. Dude, they would put, like, so we would get, this company, it's nationwide now, like, and they're basically the company that are like, we'll fucking ship anything, man. So you would get, like, this high pallet of stuff. You'd put your forks underneath it to lift it up, and you would just see liquid. So they had like a 25-gallon drum, 50-gallon drum behind it, and you're just poking holes and shit. Long story short with that one, I was involved in a workplace accident of fucking around. We taped up my buddy, and he broke his wrist.
Wait, what?
So we basically, I didn't tape him up. So they taped him with his arms to his chest, right? And his ankles together. Basically hog tie this dude, right? So he's hopping down the dock, and I'm a supervisor at this point. So I'm driving this little orange cart, and I'm like, dude, get on. Like, you're 100 yards away. Everyone's up there laughing at you. So he gets off, and when he does, he's like hopping around. Everyone's laughing, and I start bumping him into with the cart, just fucking around. And he falls, but he can't catch himself. So the only thing he can do is, like, his reaction is just to do this, and snaps his wrist.
Yeah.
So because I was involved in a workplace accident, I had to take a drug test, and I had smoked a joint probably on the way to work that day. So I called my buddy up. I'm like, dude, what do I do? They send you immediately. They're like, dude, you
No, I know,
go.
yeah. OSHA, or not OSHA, what's that shit called?
Yeah, I don't know. In
Concentra.
Ohio,
Concentra, yeah.
Yeah, so they're just like, dude, you're 20 minutes away from this place. You have 30 minutes to get there. We're going to call, make sure you're there. So I call my buddy. I'm like, dude, what do I do? He's like, didn't even skip a beat. He's like, all right, stop it at Circle K, get a jug of water and a jug of white vinegar, and drink as much as you can of the vinegar. Like, all right, cool. So I fucking pound this white vinegar, right? So I go... So I go to to the hospital, take the piss test, and my stomach is just burning, man. Like, it's not good times. Not good times. Needless to say, I failed the drug test, right? That didn't work.
I was going to say, that doesn't work. What the fuck?
No. But he said it with such confidence, like, all right,
Yeah.
let's do it. Yep, nope. Instead, I threw up blood and failed the drug test, you know? So, but
You should have just took someone else's piss.
you know, I had thought about that. I was just going to ask somebody at Circle K, hey, dude.
Yeah.
That's why
You
you always
pee in
have
this
a fake piss on hand.
Yeah.
$30 at any smoke shop.
Well,
Yeah.
now I do. So that was like the, what is that? The butterfly effect, like the little
Yes.
thing that really.
A blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I get fired from this job, which I probably would have stayed at. Like I was gonna be, you know, a leader at this. You know, I was gonna be, you know, dock supervisor or even like the terminal manager, right? Making good money for where I lived, doing a job I was pretty good at. But got fired. My buddy who ill-advised me on the drug test, he's like, dude, I work for this mortgage company. He's like, I'll get you in. He's like, I'll get you. So he got me this job at this mortgage company.
He took his advice again.
I know. Yeah, I didn't make shit at that job either, right? So there's failure. Yeah. So it ended up. Long story short, I was just lost, man. I'm like, and my dad always, you know, him and I would just take cruises. Like we just drive for a couple hours, just bullshit and listen to the radio. And he always had an answer for shit. And I was at a point where I'm like, what do I do? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I really don't. He's like, I understand. Like, there's nothing here. So my aunt had moved out here to help my cousin and her husband basically be their nanny because she moved out here because she got stationed at like Luke Air Force Base. And he's like, why don't you check out Arizona? He's like, we'll fly out there. If you like it, I'll help you create a plan to move out there. And like 2 days later, he calls me. He's like, fuck it, you're moving. He's like, you got no reason not to, man. He's like, I'll help cover some costs for you just to get out there. And he's like, just go. Like,
Dude, there's something about when you have somebody in your life that can do that.
Yeah.
There is something about that is just like, that is so necessary, especially with young men. Like,
sure.
Like, it's so fucking necessary just to have somebody to tell you, it's going to be all right. Just fucking go do it, man.
Yeah. Yep.
You know?
Because most of the people in my life have been, you know, women. My mom, my sister, my grandmas. But then my dad was very influential as well. So obviously you know, my grandma tells me this all the time. She's like, I did not want you to move, but it's the best thing you could have ever done. Same thing with like my mom, my sister. Like none of them, like if I would have said, hey, I'm going to move, they would be like, oh, that sucks, but that's cool. They would never be the one like my dad to say, fucking get out of here, man. Like, go. See, if you don't like it, at least then you tried, right? So I moved out here in 2007, like within like 3 days. I'm like, I'm here, man.
Why Arizona though?
Because that's where my cousin ended up being stationed. So it just happened to be, So I move in with my aunt. Then I meet my wife. So I worked at Buffalo Wild Wings over in Goodyear. That was my job. Funny little story. When I dropped out of college, I worked at Applebee's back in Youngstown, or not Applebee's, Chili's. And I was a cook, and I walked out on Black Friday because I basically had a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
I was like a fry cook. I'm getting my arms burned and shit, tickets like to the floor. And I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom or go take the garbage out. And I never came back, right? So I move out here, and I'm like, I'm going to Chili's. Like, I can get a job as a bar. I wanted to get a job bartending or serving to meet, you know, people my age, make some good, quick money. And I go to Chili to Chili's, apply, and they're like, dude, they love me. They're like, man, we need somebody like starting right away. And then he had me take this little bubble test, and I did it. And he comes back, he's like, I'm sorry, man, you're not the right fit for this place, right? So here I am, like, fuck.
You're blacklisted.
You
I didn't
can't
know
even
that.
get in a Chili's,
I
man.
didn't even, exactly. I leave. I'm like, I call my sister. She's 6 years older than me, so she's like my second mom. I'm like, I just went to Chili's. They basically just said I'm a loser. I'm fucking 2,000 miles away from home. I got $700. She's like, who cares? She's like, you don't want to work there anyway. So she's like, go to the next place. So I go to the next place, Buffalo Wild Wings, get hired there, meet my wife there.
Is that where like the beer love kind of started?
Yeah,
Do they do beer there?
They do at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Buffalo
The
Wild
reason
yeah.
I say this is because I remember I worked at Streets in New York Pizza, right? And they used to have the craft beer and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where, like, I remember Jay really got into craft beer, working at a place where you see and you deal with the people, the people who are bringing it in, the reps, this and that. You know what I mean? That's like a kind of place there where.
Kind of, so a little bit. It definitely, when I moved out here, I had Shiner Bock for the first time. And so that was like, oh shit, this beer can taste different than just
Coors Light.
Just Coors Light. Yeah, exactly. If you're feeling fancy, you know, Natty Light. But, but so at that point, I started kind of dabbling a little bit in beer, and then meet my wife in early 2008. Her parents lived in Flagstaff, so we would always go for the weekend, and they got great breweries up in Flagstaff.
Oh, yeah.
So that's when me and my father-in-law started hitting up some of the breweries. We go play pool at Beaver Street, and they always had their Railhead Red, the red ale. It was like 20-ounce freaking beers for like $3, and they're like 6%. So we're pounding these. You walk outside and like, oh shit, it is 11 a.m. Like, what the hell?
That's funny you say that, because that's kind of like when you go do those beer pub crawls or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like hitting 5 or 6 in a day or something. You're drinking.
Be careful.
Yeah,
you do. Yeah, we used to call it the Mother Road. Has my first in one of my all-time favorite beers. Episode 1 with Mother Road. The black IPA. So they have a double black IPA. It's like 8%. I would call it blackout IPA because you're in Flagstaff. You've got the elevation. Yes. Now you're drinking these 20-ounce 8% beers, and they're going down like water. And then my wife comes and picks me and my father-in-law up, and I'm like walking at an angle to the car. She's like, "Did you hurt your leg?" No, I just had 4 of these. So that's where the love of craft beer started.
Keith, let me see the lighter.
I wasn't really. Never even thought at that point of as anything with a career, because I didn't want to be a brewer. I didn't want to do that. Like, I don't have a desire for the brewing side of things.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and they don't get paid that well. But I respect the hell out of them though, because that's what I love about beer is it is creative. Very creative. But you then also have to have the work ethic. You have to be able to put in those long days to make that beer. So I think it's why I connected with the beer community so well. But still still didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. And my buddy that I grew up with, the vinegar guy, the mortgage guy. He's back. He's back again. And so we grew up in such a weird, so the town we grew up in was, the area was it's the northernmost region that is still considered the Appalachian region. So we were like 20 minutes north of West Virginia. Strange place, man.
Yeah.
Right? It's a weird blend of like urban mixed with like inbred.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, it's strange.
It's like perfect Walking Dead land.
Yeah, they're the hills have eyes kind of shit. Yeah. So we had all these just different town characters, like the town drunk, Stumble Gumble. We had, all these people that my buddy's like, dude, we should start a podcast about the town characters. I'm like, yeah, but like 20 people would think that's funny, right? Mm-hmm. So him and I always stayed connected with music. So, I still keep in touch with a few of my friends, but him the most. And our thing is like, I won't talk to him for a month. I'm like, dude, hey, check out this band called Mount Joy. I'll send him the album. He'll listen. And so I'm like, dude, let's start a music podcast. So we started what we called the Mixtape Podcast, and he would be in his office in Florida. He lives in like West Palm Beach, and I would be in my walk-in closet in North Phoenix. And we would Skype on a Saturday night, get fucking drunk.
Hell yeah, bro. Have a good time.
Yeah. But we're 2,000 miles away.
I love that.
It was awesome, man. It was so cool.
His other podcast was like that.
Yeah. That's
really?
I do it over it was over Google Hangouts, but now we do it over that StreamYard app. And it is the easiest fucking thing in the world, man. Yep.
And the sound is you can't tell. I will hit that if you guys don't mind.
Yeah. No, yeah.
I changed my mind. Yeah, why not?
Bug it. That's exactly, they've made it so easy, and it sounds so good that anybody can do it, no problem.
From anywhere, like you don't have to even be in the same city. You can do it from all over the world.
They have a phone app too that you can use.
What is this again?
It's called StreamYard.
StreamYard,
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
And it's just like we're talking. It's like it's 2 young kids that they make the program. They talk to the people. They have like a Facebook group where they say, hey, this is what we're coming out with, or they ask people what they would like. That's the type of shit that that we're talking about here, is like, people going out there doing it on their own, creating on their own, having something that they enjoy doing,
overcoming obstacles.
Yes.
With it, right? Like, shit, we can't do that. There's no way we can get all in the same place.
Oh yeah.
Yes, there is if we do it this way.
Yes.
Right? You
overcoming obstacles. Great fucking point. Yeah,
thanks, man. Thanks. I had that written down on my palm. Keith didn't see it.
Can you wipe it off real quick?
Did you? Oh wait, what's on the fingernail? So we start doing this music podcast, right? And it's a fucking blast, man. Like basically what it would be is us, like we were very structured. Like we liked having like a plan. Like, all right, here's this episode. We're going to call it Battle of the Bands. You're going to find two bands within this genre, and I'm going to find two bands, and we're going to play a couple songs. Basically, I'm going to convince you why my band's better and vice versa. And then we would have listeners vote. We only had one guy that always voted. So by the end of it, it's like, all right, dude, who's Brian going to vote for in this one? You know?
At least there was always a winner.
Yeah, exactly. So we start learning what he likes so we could, but I would pull clips in. Like I would pull audio clips. So we talk about like the best cover songs of all time. And I'd pull in clips of like Dylan and Jimi Hendrix and Black Crowes and all this stuff. So guarantee we're breaking laws. Like
I was just going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Because we have issues with playing songs and stuff.
Yeah,
and we
like,
stopped doing it because we get flagged. And
like YouTube will mute it and stuff like that.
Well, they'll either do that or they'll just demonetize that episode. We're not monetized anyway, but right now, but but they also, when they know it, they'll give it the credit in the description.
Interesting. Yeah, so I mean, it was funny. The first episode that we released, it was based on the. Have you guys ever seen Soaked in Bleach?
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain.
Oh yeah.
So we basically, him and I talked about like, you know, the story of Kurt Cobain and Courtney and that you know, basically the theory of that, right? So we released the episode, and I told Brian, I was like, dude, like, what if fucking Courtney Love hears that? And like, you know, like we weren't talking very well about her. He's like, dude, if fucking Courtney Love hears our podcast, he's like, that's huge.
Yeah, exactly.
Here I am thinking like, oh, we released it. Courtney. I'm like, my grandma won't even listen to that. We had like 2 listens, and they were both from me and him, you know. So, but we loved it. We loved doing it. It was really fun. It was a lot of fucking work, man. A lot of work because he was there for the recording. He doesn't know shit about, like, I couldn't even get him to understand how to record like a QuickTime audio. Is that you?
Were you doing video and audio or just audio?
No,
or?
just all audio.
Yeah.
Yep. So we had a set. We were always drinking. And I was always drinking like local beers. So we ended up having this part called "What the fuck are you drinking?" And so I had this like radio jingle in my head. So we're at my house one night drinking. It's like me and my wife and my wife's cousin and his girlfriend and my father-in-law. We're all just like hanging out. We're hanging out, and I'm like, hey, guys, come into my studio. Come into my walk-in closet. So I get the microphone, and 4 or 5 of us, we go, what the fuck are you drinking? So it's like a radio jingle, and then we would transition into what we were drinking. So, go ahead.
Sorry. I just did something stupid.
What?
Fucking sat on the edge of my seat. I keep forgetting that the camera is here, so... It just saw me. Fucking newbie, man.
Yeah, like I thought I was supposed to be doing
as I'm
dumb
putting
shit.
my foot in the camera.
So long story short, I'll say long story short all day long because I can make some long stories, man.
That's why we're here, brother.
Yeah. So start tagging local breweries and.
But can you pull a little bit closer to the mic?
Yeah. Sorry. When I cough. So start tagging local breweries in our episodes of like, hey man, you're the what the fuck are you drinking for this episode? So Matt from Peoria Artisan Brewery reached out. He's like, dude, you should do a live podcast here. He's like, it'd be really cool. I love this, I love your podcast concept with the music and all this. And I'm like, I don't know how to, like, my shit's set up on my computer at home. Like, I don't have any of that mobile stuff. So my buddy who I did the podcast with, really good business mind. He's like, dude, there's an opportunity there.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck this show. He's like, this is fun. He's like, do that. He's like, find out what it would take for you to do that shit mobile and do that. And so when we did the music podcast, we would interview like kind of up and coming bands. We interviewed like maybe like 4 or 5, and we would reach out to like 20 and one would respond. Right. So when I start the beer thing, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to reach out to 20 breweries. All 20 of them are like, fuck yeah, come on in, man. Like, oh,
wow,
shit, yeah.
That's
so that
fucking dope.
Yeah, because I don't know if it was just the timing of it. Maybe it was just, I mean, from years of doing the job that I did, I was on the phone all the time, but catching people on the phone was rare. So I needed to know how to communicate. What am I trying to say? Written communication,
yeah.
Right? Emails and stuff like that. How to craft a message very well to get somebody to respond to you, right?
Sure, yeah, that's an art.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. So all the breweries were like, hell yeah. So I start doing these episodes. I'm going into the breweries, and I just find out right away, like, dude, I'm I'm like really good at this. Actually, when I was in the music podcast, we interviewed this guy, and right afterwards, my buddy was like, dude, how the fuck did you know where'd you learn to interview like that? I'm like, for real? Like, I was just having a conversation. Like, no, dude, that is really
There's
good.
some people that can just do that really well, man.
So, and that was, I realized that was kind of a gift that I had, but it was 9 years in the making. And then I look back and I'm like, holy shit, we had so much training at this call center job of how to control conversation, when to talk, when not to talk, getting them to talk more, basically having a conversation with somebody and extracting the information you're looking for without them really even realizing it.
Is that what you're doing right now?
What's exactly. Brian's looking at me like,
that's a wrap on episode 16.
Cool, yeah. Just kidding. But to do it in a genuine way and in a way that's enjoyable for both sides. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So let me. I want to get into
as
that.
I was saying, I was thinking that though too. I'm like, this sounds real fucked up, man. Yeah.
It's almost like being a used car salesman, right? When you're because that's what you're doing. Like Phoenix College is a like a paid for
profit.
Yeah,
it's a business.
Yeah, it's a business.
Yeah.
So they gotta fucking have people on those phones all the time.
Yep.
Just trying to find new people.
Exactly. And
do people call you ever though?
Now.
No, I mean, now.
I like those calls, man.
Yeah.
When a brewery's like, hey, man, you want to come out to do this thing? I'm like, fuck yeah. A little bit. But here was the tricky part with it. It wasn't just a matter of like, hey, call this person up. Hey, man, it looks like you filled this thing out online. You want to go to school here? No? Okay, cool. It was more like, whoa, no, wait. Like, you did that for a reason. Like, why are you doing this?
Okay.
Oh, I want to get a better job. Yeah, but why is a job important to you?
Yeah.
Like, well, I want to make more money. But yeah, and you had to dig.
Yeah.
Their motivation was their kids, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that, they didn't have a good relationship with their parents. Now they want to make a big difference in their kids' life, so they want to make more money, but they don't want to tell you that. Right, because then you're like, fuck that. Now this dude's gonna hold me accountable for getting in school, and so I had to be able to do that.
Isn't that funny how that fucking works, man? You could talk people into shit like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, you know what? Here was the thing: is I was really good at it, but I was good at it doing it the right way, which would piss people off too, right? Because people would do shady shit, and they would just get people enrolled just to hit that number. Where I would get people enrolled, same number as they did, but all my students would stay in class. So I was really good at just like,
Did you get bonuses for that?
Boners? I'm just every one of them, man. I got a boner every one of them. I knew exactly what you said, but I had to throw that in there. Well, you got paid by your numbers, right? They couldn't make it like a sales job. They couldn't call it a sales job because you're a college advisor, quote unquote, right? So every 6 months you would have a review though. Like, oh, we'll do this review. Dude, in 2 years I doubled my salary because I did so well. But it was also like kind of an eye-opening thing, like, how the fuck am I making so much money off of these people paying for this college? So from the beginning, I was always kind of torn, but it was good money. I was married. I had 2 kids, so I had family support. And I could do a good thing, right? I could help people get back into school and finish their degree and shit like that. But it was just eating at me the whole time. Like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So what was the moment that made you go, I can do this on my own, and like, how did that happen?
So I did the music podcast up until like 2016. The first recording I did of tapthataz was October of 2016. So I just kind of started doing that just as a hobby. And I knew with the music one, like, we started thinking about like, all right, man, what if we approach a music charity, right? And they're our sponsor, and we try to raise money for them. Us being attached to them will get us exposure, and it'll get them, I don't know where I was going with that. So as we're doing, I'm like, this is cool, man. This is cool. I like the creative part of it. I like the planning out of it. I liked the execution of it, like all of it. I like the whole process. So then once I started doing the beer thing and started realizing that like breweries were like really valuing me coming out and basically telling their story.
Yeah.
It was like, holy shit, right? And then, you start to see like your your social media numbers grow. You start to see your downloads grow, and you're like, fuck, people are listening to this.
It's because they're creators too. They want people to see their stuff. They want to get feedback on their stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So when you're a creator and you, there's a lot of people out there that just do it for themselves. But there's nothing like getting positive feedback on shit that you're doing.
Yeah, well, and I think that I basically think what happened with me was I started to realize it was going to be more in my peripheral of where the opportunities were going to come than where I initially thought. Like I thought podcast sponsorship. That's it, right? Like that's what I'm aiming for. But then I start realizing, okay, I've got a good reputation in this industry. First person I partnered up with was good at doing events. So we did some events. And people were like, shit, you can make some good money doing an event, right? So I could get a brewery involved, 2 breweries involved, get a couple restaurants involved, and just have this cool event where there's live music. It's 3 hours on a Thursday, and we make a few $1,000s, and everybody involved wins, right?
Yes.
So it's like, oh, shit, man, we can make money. It's that entrepreneur thing where, especially... I don't know. I think a majority of people think of you have one stream of income, right? Unless, you're one of those rare people that have 2 streams of income, right? Where if you're an entrepreneur, you've got
multiple
10, 20.
Especially when you're doing it on your own and you're not doing the 9 to 5, it's good to have, multiple.
Yeah.
It's almost a necessity.
Exactly. And that's one thing that we really started to open my eyes. I'm like, all right, keep my eyes open for all these different opportunities, right? So the name itself, every time somebody reads the name, they fucking laugh, right? They get so many compliments about the shirts, and my friends say, dude, I was at the airport and like 3 people like loved the shirt. So people will buy the shirt just because of the saying. They don't give a shit about the podcast, and I don't care. Like, I don't care for you. Like,
fucking A.
I'll tell them, I'm like, dude, this is a podcast. If you like beer, like, I don't really like beer. I'm like, well, like, that's cool. That's cool. Like, if you like the branding of it and all that. So, I think it was finding different pieces of like, okay, I can make some money here. I can make some money here. Also, dude, my wife is the best, dude. She was behind me 100%, right? So that's
a big deal, man.
She knew that I was always looking for this thing, right? Looking for something. And when I found it, she knew it before I did. She knew before I did that I had found this, I'd struck what I was looking for.
Yeah, because she could see you were fucking happy.
Yeah.
You were fucking enjoying it, dude.
Yep. Exactly.
It's fucking very obvious when you have people that are just fucking dying in
miserable.
the 9 to 5. Yeah, man.
Yep. It's a lot of work to fucking cover that shit up, man,
Yeah.
Especially you come home and like I hated my job all day, and then I drive an hour and I get home and I've got, the kids are ready to fucking rock,
Yeah, you just want to chill.
Yeah, but you got to, right?
No, you got to. No, you do it, but you do it anyway.
Yep. So she realized like early on, like, all right, man, this is, and she's behind me 100%. So her whole thing was like, hey, well, let's figure out how to make this work. Like, we'll cut down on some expenses. We don't need this. We don't need that. So I also teach online part-time from like 4 a.m. I've kind of cut that out. So 5 to 7 in the morning, I teach English to kids in China, which is fucking trippy too, man. Like, it's like you're doing like a one-on-one Skype session with a kid in China for 25 minutes, and you're guiding them through this curriculum of like slideshows and teaching them English.
That's actually cool as shit.
It's cool,
dude.
man.
That's
Dude,
actually really cool.
The shit that you fucking see, like, I don't know what's going on over there in China, but I've seen at least 8 kids with guns, like straight up assault rifles, pistols. Oh yeah, the parents will bring a gun over, like, because they'll want to show you their toy, right? So at the end of you have 25 minutes. So if you get through all the curriculum in 23 minutes, you still got to make up that 2 minutes in that environment is fucking a long time, So like, oh shit. So you start out, you can, there's a white screen and you can say draw your family, right? And so they'll draw their family. And I always try to get to know kids. I'm like, draw your favorite toy. It's a fucking AK-47. This has happened like 3-4 different kids. I've seen kids, like, they'll reach off the thing and put like a freaking dirty Harry pistol on the.
Oh my god!
It's crazy, man. But it's a whole different world over there. My favorite one was this kid. I told him, I said, draw a picture of your teacher, and point to me. So he draws this huge fat dude with a dick hanging down. I'm like, what? I do a quick screenshot. I save that, and like that's one of my favorite things to send people. It's like, what is?
That's crazy, dude.
It was funny,
these kids' families are just paying money to get them to learn English.
Yeah. Yep.
That's crazy,
It is
dude.
crazy, man. And to see
Can't hate the hustle, brother. Fucking,
Yeah.
you gotta find the hustle.
Yeah, for real, man. And it's been like my goal was to try to teach online, right? Because I was an online advisor for almost 10 years. I knew the system. I have a master's degree. I have all the things that you need to teach classes online. So I start looking, and I stumbled upon this. I'm like, shit, I was thinking of teaching like adults, not Chinese kids, you know? I don't know fucking Chinese, right?
Yeah.
But I know English pretty well. So it was just weird how that worked out. I never would have thought that. So I remember when, I had this partner that was really good at doing events, and morally we just weren't on the same page. I was more of like relationships first. Relationships will lead to the money.
Yes.
Where his thing was like money, fuck the relationships. Like, they're going to pay us now. Like, we're trying to do local events, and we have like Dutch Brothers and shit like that involved. I'm like, dude, that's like, it's not what I'm going for, right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but the visions were just completely different. But the thing he taught me was, it's not that hard to do an event. It's not that hard to do a beer event. So that was a big eye-opening thing for me of like, all right, man, there's ways to make money from this.
How many events do you do a year now?
So I haven't done any events for a while, because that was kind of what our drive was. So basically my vision with the brand was to have this media company that could cover all Arizona food and beverage, right? Really good representation of the people that are making the big difference in what's happening out here, right? You either had so many people that were quote unquote foodies that are basically just, it's about them, right? They're like, oh, we went to all these restaurants, and it's like, oh, that's a picture of the food and a picture of you. What about the fucking chef?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what about the person that created this whole situation you're in, the place, things like that. So that was my goal, and his goal was just have events, right? Just have as many events as we can, squeeze as many people into this place as we can. Fuck the experience. I want to say fuck the experience, but fuck the experience.
Yeah.
Where so I was like, you know what, man, I got to move on. Do what you do. That's just not where I want to be with this. So where was I going with that?
How you got into how you got into this?
So, how I got into it, yeah. So, started doing it for a few years. First episode came out in January 2017, and what was it? April 25th of 2018, I quit my job at this debt relief company. Yeah, and I was just dying at this place, man. I hated it so much, and plus the beer thing was taking off. And then I'm teaching, right? So I'm doing these three things. And I'm trying to build up my schedule for the classes. I'm not doing great at this other company, so my sales are struggling. So I'm freaking hitting that hard, and the beer shit starts slipping. So I'm like, dude, the one fucking thing that I love to do is taking a backseat to these other things. So I text my wife one day. I'm like, I can't fucking do it, and she's like, quit. I'm like, don't fuck with me. I'm like, no, this is like, don't say that. And she's not the type of person that does that, but she'll bait and hook me on pizza, right? She's like, hey, let's have pizza for dinner. I'm like, all right, cool. She's like, we're just gonna have salad. I'm like, you fucker. So I didn't want it to be like that. So she's like, come home tonight. Let's come up with a plan. So I went home. She's like, all right, you're making this much from teaching, the VIP kid thing. You've got these other things coming up. She's like, do it. She's like, just get out of there. She's like, we'll figure it out. We'll make this work. So I went in, and the next day and gave them my notice, and it's a sales job. So they walk you out 15 minutes later. Yep. But my supervisor, my team lead, was awesome. He was an awesome dude, and he was pushing me to do the same thing because he could see what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so I went up to him, and I just was like, shook my head, and he's like, fuck yeah, man. He's like, I'll come see you in a little bit. So he went and gave it to his supervisor, whatever, and dude, I fucking walked out. Like, the sun was bright and shining.
Fucking
There's
A, bro.
Birds on my shoulder.
Yeah. Fucking A, man.
But you know what, though? It transported me back to October 20th of 2007 when I move out here, and my dad goes home, and my aunt goes to work. It's Monday morning, and I'm like, I have $700 and no fucking job.
A little scared.
2000, yeah.
That
comes with it, but
fuck yeah, dude.
You have to be able to do that. That's one thing I've always been. I feel like in the culture that I grew up in, you don't risk shit. Like, you don't risk shit, right? You might hate your job as a fucking forklift operator, but you make $20 an hour. Fucking suck it up,
and
buttercup.
You need the benefits, so don't
Yeah.
even think about fucking leaving.
Yeah, exactly. Or, you know what? I could do this. I can go to school and I can become, be a social worker. Yeah, but you might not. I wouldn't risk it.
Yeah.
So there's that. That's always been ingrained in me. I don't want to say ingrained. I just, around me, I saw it. But I think with my dad, once again, was his thing was like, dude, take a chance, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, took the leap.
And you work with now you're working with a lot of people that are doing the exact same fucking thing.
Yep.
I mean, so when you come across, some of these people that you become friends with, you want to tell their story.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Because they have a story.
Yeah.
That's what I started realizing was, I kind of got into it because I liked beer and I liked talking to people, but I always kind of felt like the liquid would be the focus. But after doing a few episodes, going into what's really cool is, the way that I do it, I go into their place and I talk to the owner or the brewer or both, right? I don't want to talk to the marketing person. I don't want to talk to the social media director that's just going to give me a message.
Yep.
Like I want to ask you questions that maybe you, not the boilerplate, just kind of, oh yeah, we started in 2014. So I was asking.
You want to get deep.
Exactly. Yeah. And just in my conversation style, I was able for them to really love it because, they're talking about what they love to somebody else who really enjoys that too. They're not talking to a newscaster that's like, I don't like beer.
You're talking to
You
somebody.
seem more real.
Yes.
Yeah. And almost.
And they're probably flattered that you're even interested.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, man. Like they love, like people love, when we come in and, like, dude, try a new beer. Like, I probably put on 60 pounds. Like, cause
it comes with the craft. Right?
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
A,
No
man.
pun intended.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just started seeing, one of the things for me was I was enjoying it, but they were also seeing the benefit in it, right? Like they were like, dude, thanks so much for coming out. And then I started getting feedback from listeners. Like one of the brewery owners, Dustin from Helio Basin, had told me, he's like, dude, I love your podcast because I get to learn about my peers. I've known Brian Helton for 10 years. I've never sat down with him like, hey, Brian, talk to me for 45 minutes about your story. Yeah. So they're getting to know their own community.
They're probably getting more respect for each other.
Yeah, exactly. But
there's so much that goes into that people don't understand. I was actually wondering if you could talk about that a little bit, just all the crazy shit that goes on behind just creating the beer. Yeah,
well, I mean, there's so much science and so much art into it, right? Like, because the brewing process is very, you talk to these brewers and you're basically getting like a biology lesson, you know what I mean? Or chemistry. It's like about water chemistry. And one of the things that I think people overlook is consistency, right? Like, so there are some breweries that, one of my favorites, Dark Sky in Flagstaff, they've made, I think, 100 beers every single year since they've been open. So if they're in year 4, they've done like 400 beers.
Wow.
Yeah, but
that's pretty cool.
It's really cool because they got some. They do like a gin and tonic sour. They do all these different. They do like an Oreo cookie stout.
Oh damn!
So really good shit. But a knock that people have on them is like, I want to go in and I want to know what I'm getting. I want to know that I can go in and get a Tower Station IPA, like cool innovation and all that stuff. But I want what I want.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So both sides of it are really difficult because if they have an idea to do a gin and tonic beer, they got to know what the fuck they're doing to make something that doesn't have gin and tonic, you know what I mean, per se, in it.
Yep.
How do we make it taste like that? But then you have the other big brewers like Mother Road, right? Like, how do you make this beer taste the same way every single time? Whether Keith, you brew it, Brian, whether you brew it, how do you do that? Because that's what people want. Like, so if you have a Tower Station, you really like it, next time you get it, it's another brewer, different recipe or whatever. That's not good for business. So when people say they don't like beer, I always just tell them, you just haven't found the right beer for you. You know what I mean? Because some people think of just like an IPA that's super hoppy, or a dark bourbon beer, or like a Pilsner, right?
Yep.
But there's sours, there's Belgian beers which are more malty and sweet, and so
I think that same thing for cannabis strains, by the way.
yeah, I can see that, right? But
It's funny how once you get into something like that, and you get to the point where you can really tell a difference, you really get knowledgeable into shit like that.
Yeah,
there's a beer for everybody, right?
Yeah,
for sure. Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So just seeing the work that people put behind it, it's not people don't get into it for the money. Like you're like, every time I say that to a brewer or an owner, they just fucking laugh. Like, dude, you'd be an idiot to get into this for the money, because it is an art, right? So it's an like, what differentiates Huss's beer from Santan's beer, right? If you put their Pilsner side by side, you can't really tell the difference, right? I mean, there's different nuances and things like that, but what separates people are their stories, right? So that's what I started figuring out was, you get all these people that take a picture of 100 hazy IPAs, they look the same, and you really can't tell the difference in the taste. I mean, there's some shitty ones, but you can't really tell the difference. But what separates them is like this brewery who focuses on using wild ingredients, where this brewery focuses on, they focus on their food and pairing their food with the beer and things like that. So I think it's just all the differences in it has, all the different ways you can go with it.
One of the things that I noticed that is also really popular with a lot of these breweries is setting.
Oh yeah,
setting. Yeah. I mean, so many different breweries. Just the setting, the way you feel in their establishment, is a big deal, man.
Yep. It's a middle ground. It's not a bar. It's not a restaurant. It's a place you can like. You're not going to take I'm not going to take my 6-year-old and 8-year-old daughters to Bottled Blonde or, freaking, or what is it, Twin Peaks or whatever, the ones where the chicks got the, the plaid skirts and stuff.
Kilt lifters.
Yeah. Yep. But a brewery is something you could go into.
No, Tilted Kilt.
Tilted Kilt. Yeah. But you can, go into a place and your kids can sit there and play Battleship and you can just have a normal conversation. The music's usually really cool. That setting is very deliberate. I think the most important part of it though is seeing the shit happen, right? Where you can either see through the glass and there's the brewing equipment, or even if it's just behind like a little barrier, like seeing the people creating the things that you're drinking. That's what I love. The craft of it.
To get into the craft, I mean, you have to invest a lot of money just for the equipment to make it, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to do that, I mean, you're going to want to try to get. No one just does it to not try to make money out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. They know that going into it, that it's a long game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And or there are also ones that start off right out the gate. They get it.
I mean, this is not something where you can really make beer out of your house. Right?
No, I mean you can. There's a lot of home brewers actually. You can't sell that though, right?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point though, because
But you can grow like 12 weed plants.
Yeah. But you couldn't sell it though, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So the same thing with homebrew, because I've had these crazy few beers in a couple tokes in where I'm like, dude, what if I start a bar where it's all homebrew? Like, it's fucking genius. And I text my buddy the next day and I'm like, dude, what? And he's like, you can't do that. It's not legal. I'm like, damn it. Like, I thought that was a good idea,
Because you have to get like business license and all that bullshit, right?
Yep. And it's considered, it's a food product, right? So they're under the intense scrutiny of like the health department and shit like that.
No, but what you could do is you could partner with a brewery. Look at like the Deftones did with Belgian Beaver.
Yeah, they have their own beer.
Yep.
That's one of the places that we went. We were talking before the show, and I was talking about Greenfield's bachelor party like weekend thing. We went on these breweries.
Did you even drink?
No,
you did.
No.
So that must have been boring as fuck for you.
No, it wasn't. Here's the reason.
You're just laughing at everyone else getting drunk?
No, here's the reason why. We hit up the weed store on the way every day. I smoked a fucking fat, like one of those
you should have fucking drank, dude. You better drink on my shit.
I'd have I'd try, they bring out the little tester beer bullshit.
Little flight.
Yeah, the flights are badass.
Yeah, flights. Yeah. So I would try, I'd try a little bit here and there. But
we
the cool part about it was the setting.
Yeah, we do.
We'll find the beer for you.
Here's what the beer was for me that I enjoyed. I enjoyed 2 beers, and they're so fucking simple. It's I enjoyed Heineken because it's for some reason Heineken tastes like weed to me.
Yeah, it's got that skunkiness.
It tastes like weed to me. Yeah.
That's probably because not because you just smoked weed and you don't drink, and that's all Heineken's the only thing you ever drank. You still taste the weed.
No. When I was drinking,
Shit. Yeah.
When I was drinking all the time, that's what I would drink is Heineken, or I would drink. And here's the other one. I fucking love a Corona and lime.
I
man.
knew you were going to say that before you even said it, because they have the same. Do you want some science behind that?
Yes, I want some science behind it. Let me know.
So the bottles, because they're traditionally made and put in bottles, the sunlight skunks the beer. Yeah. So, but from what I've heard is, Corona and Heineken started canning, right? So they actually create that taste in the beer on purpose. So that because people want that, people want that skunk, that skunkiness. I mean, that's the best way to describe
That's
it.
exactly
Not in a bad
what
way.
it is.
Yeah,
It's skunkiness. Yes.
So
Can I? Oh, go ahead.
no, you're good, man.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so what we need to get you, we need to connect you with some dry hopped beers, because some dry hopped IPAs, or sometimes even if you don't like IPAs, Pilsners or lagers, they'll dry hop them, and they got a really strong. Well, because hops and cannabis are same.
They're same
gene or whatever.
You
Same
get the
something.
same taste. People talk about terpenes and shit.
Yeah.
And cannabis and getting the taste. That's the same thing with hops and fucking beer. It's the same fucking thing.
Yep. So we need to get you some dry hop beer.
Yeah.
I think you'll dig that. Yeah.
Another thing that I like about Corona and Heineken, they feel light.
Sure. Yeah. Easy to drink. Easy to drink.
That's not heavy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not a fan
Heavy
of
beers.
fucking Guinness. I don't know why people love Guinness.
I don't like Guinness, man.
Yeah, I do not like Guinness, and I don't know how anybody could drink that shit warm.
It's dude, no.
Could you imagine?
I almost
drinking
throw
that?
up when it's cold. You know?
The only way that I could ever drink Guinness was the fucking where you drop the shot in them, and that's the only. Yeah.
Was that Irish car bomb or
Irish car
something?
bombs,
Yeah.
Yeah, those are bomb.
Yeah.
Can you give me the science behind my favorite beer?
Which is
King Cobra.
Is that a malt liquor? That's a malt liquor,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Well, in 1942, Archie Bunker.
No, I'm
I
just
feel like
kidding.
Archie Bunker was
Do
involved
they
somehow.
still sell malt liquor?
Oh, fuck
Fuck
yeah,
yeah,
man.
dude.
Some of the craft brewers are starting to brew malt beverages. Well, that's what. So Four Peaks does one called Lima. Have you tried that?
No, I haven't, but I heard about that.
Do you like tart things? Like I see you're drinking Squirt. Yeah. So try
Fucking
Lima.
A.
Try Lima.
This is a noob question, but can you explain the difference between malt and just regular beer? Why does it fuck you up more?
What? Well, wait. Why does what fuck you up more?
Well,
Malt
I know there's more alcohol in it, but malt liquor just seems to just fucking you drink 140 and you're
that right there, you're drinking a 40, right?
yeah, I know, but that's how many
It's
beers
also
is
like
that?
7%
Yeah,
alcohol or
they're higher.
something.
It's going to be higher
that's true.
alcohol than like a
Yeah.
Bud Light, Coors, even like Bud. Like I mean, IPAs. I mean, this one here is 7.3%. So malt liquor is going to be at that, if not more. So you're drinking what, 3 of these?
3 of those.
Yeah, almost 3 of them. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but malt liquor.
What
will
I'm
fuck you
wondering
up.
is what gets these guys into wanting to create beer in the first place. Like
a lot of
like
them
I said,
are
if
homebrewers.
okay, so you start
Yep.
off a home brewer and then you're like you just want to take it to the next level.
Correct. Yeah. So and for a few, people just love the process of it. But
That's a big jump.
It is. Yeah. It is a big jump. And you always have to, I always tell people too, when a new brewery opens up, like you got to give them some time, because there's a brewery that just opened up by me called Front Porch. And their first beer that they made, it was a blonde ale, like a lighter beer. But the efficiency of their professional equipment compared to their homebrew equipment was way better. So it came out even stronger. So they were going to call it the naughty blonde, and they called it the toasty blonde because it was like it was heavier in alcohol.
That's cool. I
but
like
people
that.
loved it. So they got to that's a transition period. Some of the guys might come from, maybe they're an assistant brewer, or even a brewer at a bigger brewery. You know what I mean? But it is.
This is a cool, strange hobby to get into.
Well, that's
Yeah.
you know what I kind of think of when I think of people that become brewers. I almost kind of think of like the tattoo industry, right? Because you apprentice under somebody, you kind of like learn, and you're like a bar back, kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You learn how to do stuff. You're putting in the work, and your dream is to always open up your own shop. You know what I mean? Like that type of shit.
Yeah. And it is because
Like fucking Jedis and and fucking Padawans and Jedis, man.
Yeah. I don't know what that means. I think it's Star Wars, but
Yeah, Star Wars nerdy shit.
Yeah, I knew you,
Nerd.
You got me a Jedi's, yeah. Yeah, you know what? It's interesting though, because there is a huge percentage of people that have done that, where they've had the leap. There's a lot of people in IT, people that were IT guys, that are like, now they own a brewery. So
that's like the story I love that you're talking about,
Yeah.
Ray. Is just that transition. When I love like what we were talking about earlier, when people make that jump from, you're saying from IT to owning a brewery. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. And most of them haven't owned businesses before. You know what I mean? Like they were.
So a lot of these guys probably team up with either someone business savvy or, like you said, that gentleman earlier who just happen to have it both.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. It's cool, man. And I've just connected with the people so well. I think that's why, like, I fell in love with with the community itself, because they're very, very, for the most part, kind of standoffish a little bit, especially now that craft beer is like really popular. And
They probably think that, like you were talking earlier, is about there's a lot of people that are trying to take advantage of them.
exactly.
So they got to be that way.
So I've kind of taken on this internal, I guess, commitment in a way to like protect them, right? For me to be the person that's like the primary person that they think of when, like, hey man, we want to get this out that we're having this event. Let's reach out to Eric, or if we want some video work done, let's reach out to Eric and Luke. And this book is basically Luke and I showcase of like, hey, we're here to do some cool shit. And we're going to do shit the right way, and we're going to do some badass shit. Because it's kind of the tip of the iceberg for us.
What have they been saying about the book? What, you getting much feedback on it?
You mean like the general population?
No. I mean, no, like the brewers.
Yeah,
and
they
stuff.
love it, dude. They love it. So here's the thing: is we came into this thing, we wanted to highlight 40 breweries. We didn't want it to be, you go to, San Diego. They even have them here in Arizona. Where you have like a passport book, right? Where you open up one of those just soft covered, you can write in.
That's fucking cool.
Those are cool, and people love them, right? But there wasn't anything. Once again, it's kind of putting the focus not in the right area.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that. I don't want that to sound bad. That's not really what I mean. But maybe there's a certain aspect of it that's being ignored.
Yeah.
That's maybe a better way to say it. And it's the people. It's the stories behind all this stuff, right? So we were very, very had the breweries involved a lot, right? So when we took the pictures, we're saying, hey, here's what we're going to do the picture of. Here's the picture we took. What do you think? Do you like the way that this looks? Do you like the way that makes your tap room look?
You let them have say on that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah. These
pictures are unbelievable, by the way.
Dude,
Who did those?
Luke did.
Wow.
Yeah,
These are
my
great
business
pictures,
partner,
man.
Luke. Yeah, he is an amazing photographer. And different style than me, right? So I mean, he's
Look at
obviously
that
more
shot.
skilled. Yes, right?
What a
The
great
Mother
shot.
Road, the Tower Station. So if you guys want to read the story behind this beer that I'm having in my hand, that's right
That's a
there,
great
right?
shot. I like that shot.
Yep. So the shot in the book of Mother Road's brewery is outside of the brewery during sunset in Flagstaff, and it's got 6 classic cars.
So let's. I'm gonna ask that question.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite places to go here in the state?
Ah, man. Flagstaff, Tucson, and Phoenix.
And,
He's like,
Yeah.
no shit, dude. It's a whole fucking state.
Actually, how about this? What are some hidden gems
yeah.
outside of those cities?
That's an even better question.
That's a great
Yeah.
Because
question.
because I like what your point is of this book is it's not a ranking system. It's just putting all these out there. I'm not.
Yep.
This isn't number 1 through this,
Nope.
know, or through 40. So
Yep.
maybe some hidden gems.
It's volume 1 too. So if you kind of, I think it's on the spine of the book.
Oh, yeah,
it'll
yeah.
say volume 1.
That's
So
cool that you did that.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool. Turn it into a badass shelf book, man.
Yeah, that's the point.
That's bad as fuck.
We want to do
That's
because
smart.
we wanted to make it highlight.
It's functional now.
Make it, yeah, exactly, man. Right? It's heavy. It's got some weight to it. Where was I going with that?
Oh,
You
hidden
asked me-
gems.
The hidden, hidden gems, right? So, we'll kind of some of my thoughts of ways people can really experience Arizona beer is, first of all, Flagstaff is awesome because within Flagstaff, you go basically starting from the north end of like downtown, all within walking distance. You have Dark Sky. You've got Flag Brew. You've got Historic, Lumberyard, Beaver Street, Mother Road. So there's like 6-7 places right in downtown. So you can hit up multiple places easy in a day.
Wow.
One of my things is trying to educate people on like who first of all, who does what well, right? When you go to Dark Sky, what should you get? Like what should you look for?
Fuck yeah.
You know, where, you know, if you're going to go to Historic, oh yeah, dude, make sure you try the freaking porter, whatever, right? No one understand what each place does well. But also I think education for consumers is important because you get, dude, just in today's culture of people like, oh, fuck that, I give them 1 out of 5 stars because I don't like IPAs. Well, then why the fuck did you get an IPA, dude?
Yeah.
You know, like,
no
doesn't
shit.
mean there's a huge difference between shitty beer and beer you don't like.
And trolls.
Yeah, and trolls. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you know what? As those business owners, I've talked to many of those business owners, and it does freak them out a little bit. It's like, oh, shit, man, like, I hope I get good Yelp reviews. I hope,
You know, that's a perfect thing to ask because my brother is always like, fuck that place. If they're shitty, write a Yelp review. And because those things really fucking...
Yeah.
And so if they're good, write a good fucking Yelp review.
Yeah. But
I don't know, man. It's like if you get served a bad meal at a place, there's so many factors that go into it. You know what I mean? Like the shit. Can you really blame the establishment? You know what I mean? Like shit happens.
Yeah.
And if it's like a consistent fuck up,
That's what
then
I mean.
I would be like, fuck
That's what
this
I mean.
place,
I mean a
but-
major fucking fuck up, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about somebody having a bad day, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, if they're serving like, bleach in the freaking
You got like a
cups.
butt hair,
Yeah.
a couple butt hairs or
Fucking
something.
butt. I know it's a-
Cockroaches in the fucking ice.
I was wondering where you were gonna go with that. You're like
Bro, I worked at
cockroaches,
I
just
worked
cock.
at check this
Just
out.
cock, just
I worked at
everywhere.
a
Like, whoa,
fucking
where'd you go?
I worked at a pizza place for like fucking like from high school to like 20 something, dude. And
Till now.
yeah.
Oh shit, I gotta go.
Dude, I might fucking call up a pizza place, man, because that's a fucking great job.
Yeah.
That was one of the best jobs I ever had. That was one of the
Just
funnest
smoke
jobs
weed
I
and
had.
deliver pizza.
Yeah, that's
Listen
all I
to
would
music,
do.
listen
Yeah,
to
listen to
podcasts,
music.
dude.
Yeah, listen to
I might.
podcasts.
Yeah.
Dude, and but here's on that thing about fucking places being shitty. For those of you out there, if you don't fucking tip your fucking pizza delivery driver, he will fuck your food up.
Yep.
They will
that-
fuck with your food.
And thanks for watching episode 6. We wrap on that.
Oh shit, I'm scared now. I'm like, fuck, man, I hope I tipped
No.
that last guy. So no, man, it's I don't know, dude. I like the experience aspect of just fucking go in, see what it's like. Maybe it's a shithole, maybe it's not. With the right perspective, everything's a good story, right?
Is there any places like in weird where you would never think they would be in Arizona where it's a really good one?
Tombstone.
Yeah.
Tombstone Brewery is one of the best in the state, man. Those guys, and their brewer's name is Weedy.
That's
His
fucking
name
cool.
is Weedy Weidenthal. Like, it sounds like a true Tombstone brewer,
Yeah.
right? But he's making some crazy shit, man. One of my
Moonshine.
he probably is. He makes his own jeans and shit. I'm like, what? He posts on Facebook like, hey, does anybody know about something about them? I'm like, who the fuck knows how to cut denim, Weedy? Like, nobody knows how to cut denim except for you, man. But he's awesome, dude. Knows what he's doing. The beer that's in the book from Tombstone, it's called Another Exercise in Mediocrity. And the reason they called the beer that was when they opened up the brewery, some lady went on
Yelp or Google or review something. Oh, and shit, was I like, opened right up to it.
Oh, did you? Oh, nice. And isn't that a beautiful beer? Like,
Oh, yeah.
That's something I think that we'd want you to try, like a hazy IPA.
That looks good.
That's not hoppy, but it's got the effervescent, like weed kind of,
He likes weed tasting beer.
Yeah.
They have weed beer now, don't they?
Some, yeah. There's some hemp beers out there.
Really?
Yeah. They're not what you would think, though. Like, they're not. They're not. I mean, they're good.
Oh, really?
But there's one called what is it? Chiba Hut always has it on tap.
Speaking of Chiba Hut, this is one of my favorite places.
They just closed.
What?
Yeah, dude. They closed like a week ago. Yeah,
That's
real
devastating.
I know. Mother Bunch, rest
Oh,
in peace.
man.
They were awesome people. Really cool place. I don't know what happened, man.
I just love
don't know.
the old building. Those
Yeah.
old buildings down there are historic.
Yep.
And
Yep.
their flights were awesome. They have great beers or food.
Yeah.
It seems like one of the places they like to pair the beer
Yeah.
with the food. And
Very good at that. Yep. So there's a lot of breweries that are like Tucson. Tucson has a really cool beer scene. There's like 20 or 22 in Tucson itself, But right downtown, once again, like Flagstaff, you've got, like Pueblo Vita and 1055 and Iron John's and Borderlands, Crooked Tooth. You got like same 6-8 right downtown you can walk to. I wouldn't venture too far off the path in Tucson. Don't go 2 blocks north. Who knows what the fuck will happen. But
Tucson's crazy.
It is.
Hidden gems though, like Sentinel Peak. Sentinel Peak is a place. It's more east of downtown in Tucson, kind of more towards like the Tanque Verde area of Tucson, right? Tucson has no, they've got 10 that comes through this way, but then there's no freeway this way.
Yeah.
So it takes me as long to get from Phoenix to Tucson as it does to get to Tucson to like Tanque Verde.
Oh.
Not really, but it's such a long city with no like major freeway that goes over. That's just, I had to get that out. But Sentinel Peak is a brewery that was started by 3 firemen. And they have like barbecue. They do like have a smoker in the back.
That's fucking cool.
Dude, their shit is really good. So they have a really cool can art too. They have like this, it's like a Dia de los Muertos skull with like a fireman's hat.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah. So that's one people kind of sleep on a little bit. But
is there any places where you went and checked it out? You don't have to say names, but you're like, fuck, I don't want to talk about this. This place is bullshit.
Yeah, there's a couple.
It was like a homebrew, and you're like,
Well, so there's one in particular. I'm glad you asked that, because there's one in particular that been going there for years.
You don't want to drink their shit and wake up 3 days later with your butthole sore?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Not again.
Like, what happened?
Yeah.
It's Tuesday?
Yeah. Oh, shit. So I don't know where you guys went, but I will not go wherever that was. Yeah.
I'll give you the address after.
Yeah. Please. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So, but there's one in particular that I think of that has like the worst beer. Like the worst beer in the state. I told my buddy about it, and I don't like. What?
You gotta do a book on that.
I know. Oh man, I could write a whole book on this fucking place. But the place, it's a cool place. They've got a great whiskey selection. They've got a cool story behind them. But like, I wouldn't know what to say when we're drinking the beer. Like,
okay, so were you honest, or were you just like, hey,
I haven't done anything with them. I haven't done it. No, I would. That's.
So you case it out first before you like. Do the podcast
for the most part, but here's kind of what I've done really well, and I think this is why I've established such a strong relationship in the industry, and now even outside the industry with like the food and things like that, is people like working with me because like I'll find if you have 7 shitty beers, I'll find the 8th one to talk about that. You know what I mean? Like, dude, this red is really good. Like usually with the reds, they're a lot more malty, but this one's got more hops to it. So I'm not going to talk shit about those ones.
Every place has a good beer that you can bring up.
I highlight and honestly,
yeah.
And
but
honestly,
this place had all shitty beers.
Yeah, this place has like everything. Like they're not good, man. They're not good. And rumor has, I've never talked to these guys, but I know people that know them, and they don't care either. So they've got. I'll say it. I'm going to say it. I don't care. Flag Brew in Flagstaff, awesome place. So that's what I'll say is it's an awesome place. One of the best patios in Flagstaff. They have live music. Their food's good. They got a really great whiskey selection. They got like a ping pong table. They just don't make good beer. But from what I've heard from people that know them, they're like they don't give a shit. Like they're like, we got the spot. Yeah. Like, people come here, travelers from all around the world. They order our food. Like
people are buying it anyway.
They're buying it anyways. Yeah.
They don't need to make money on crafting a good beer.
Do you think you have a more picky taste because of this than normal people? Does that make sense? Like maybe a regular Joe just goes in there and can drink shitty beer. Most people drink shitty beer. People drink Budweiser.
Yeah,
everyone drinks shitty beer.
But you know what?
So that makes sense.
That's when you get into that's when you get deep into these conversations with the brewers and the owners, particularly the brewers. The brewers have like the utmost respect for Budweiser, for Coors. Like, dude,
because they're the OGs.
Yeah, the OGs, and they still like.
But I bet if you drank a Coors Light of Budweiser now and drank from when they started, it's completely different.
For sure. Oh yeah, for sure. But I don't think that my taste. I mean, I've realized I know what I like now, right? I know what I really like. But I'll still try. I'll try all kinds of styles. Where I've gotten snobby a little bit, I'll admit, is freshness of beer. So that's like, if there's one takeaway I can give every consumer, it's look at the dates on your beer. Most people don't, right? So you look on the bottom of this one, and this was canned November 26th. So an IPA is usually good for maybe 2 months, in a can, like a craft IPA, good for 2 months. Dude, you go into the big chains, like, Total Wine or something. Dude, there's IPAs that were made a year ago.
Dude, I got
Really?
one for you.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you.
I got
Well,
one
that's
for you.
probably why that's probably their business. They get those year-old ones and they sell them for cheap.
Well,
that's probably their thing.
Well, I think the shit they have so much of a selection that shit just sits there.
It's not only that, dude. It's like the little fucking corner stores, dude. I got a buddy that I do a podcast with. Shout out to fucking Paul W. Fucking hilarious motherfucker. He liked I think it was Labatt Ice, right? But he would only get it in the fucking like the tall cans of it. And you could only get those at like certain seedy places, right? So he was going, right?
Bootleg beers. That's the homebrewers we were talking about, right?
like fucking like the Asian corner store. You know what I mean? Like in downtown, fucking, somewhere in Ohio, probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fucking, and he drank it, and it was chunky, dude. Chunky.
That's not good.
Chunky.
That's one descriptor you never want to hear about your beer.
Could you hear?
Chunky.
And it was like
very
a
chewable.
shit,
Very chewable. Yeah.
Like motherfucker, dude.
Oh.
So yeah, I could see that there's a lot of beer out there that's stale and fucking gross.
Look at dates. There was a time I went into Total Wine and I wanted Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. That's just what I wanted, right? So, and I'm like, dude, they got to rotate through this shit. So I looked and it was already like 8 months old. I'm like, shit. So I start pulling a few of them out, and the guy walks up and he's like, "Can I help you with something?" Like kind of like annoyed. Like I'm like, dude, I'm not making you do the work. Like I'm like, I'm just looking to see if you guys have anything more fresh. He's like, you realize those dates don't really mean anything, and I'm like, you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, how many people have, like, I know better. How many people have you told that to that?
Yeah.
Just to fucking move some old shitty beer.
17-year-old motherfucker. He's like 17 probably.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, this dude was like 50 something.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. I don't know if that's better or worse. Yeah. Oh shit. So I don't know, man. I feel like the beer Superman sometimes. I'm like, no, sir, that is not correct. But
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
So there's a wine industry that's fucking growing in Arizona.
For sure. Yeah.
You were talking earlier about maybe branching out. Is the wine scene in Arizona something that you would do, or is that just kind of?
Well,
yeah.
Do you drink wine?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I like it.
Because I was going to say the same thing, but cannabis.
Yeah.
What about what he thinks about the cannabis
like the Arizona
industry?
Cannabis book.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know what? That's interesting because that was one of the inspirations for that book. So my business partner Luke was he did a lot of work in cannabis industry, like web development, photography, videography. So there is a book, I can't remember what the name of it was, maybe just Buds or something, where it was basically that style of just all these different buds and strains and stuff. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So that was his inspiration because when I told him, I'm like, dude. I'm thinking about doing, like, we should do a book, like, about Arizona beer. We know insides, we can tell stories that none of the news, Phoenix New Times and AZ Central, they don't know the stuff that we know. And we can tell a different story for these breweries. Just kind of off the cuff, like, we should do a book. And he's like, we're fucking doing a book. I'm like, oh shit, all right. Let's do this. And so he spearheaded the whole thing as far as like the structure of it, right? He's like, you've got the relationships. So we met with a handful of breweries that we're really close with to say, hey, here's our idea. What do you guys think of this? And they're like, fuck yeah. And so it was kind of cool. Like the first, if we've got, we got 37 in volume 1. A third of those people, when we approached them, they're like, we're in. Like, you don't even need to tell us anymore. Like, we had this whole thing, like, here's what's going to happen. We're going to have a whole campaign behind us. Once it's out, we're going to release videos and we're going to do events and things like that. And we didn't even get to that point with a third of them. They were like, dude, you're involved. We're in, man. Like, just let us know what we need to do. So that was like, holy shit.
A lot of these were ones that you already did the podcast with.
Yeah. So that helped to write the book
cool.
too. Because, Luke wrote probably 75% of that, like actually put it in onto paper. We had an editor that worked with us as well. But Luke basically put most of that stuff on paper. But it was cool because he used my interviews to get the information.
That's badass.
Yeah. So it was like, because I felt like, shit, dude, like, should I be doing more? And, you know, like, because I would be the one that reach out, set up
you got the
meetings
story.
Got the story. Yeah. And that's what he's like, dude, you've made my job so easy because I'm just listening to your podcast, and that's what we got.
Well, let's talk about that real quick, because one of the cool things that you were talking about is how you do the stuff. You go to the breweries.
Yeah. Yep.
You go and hang out, and you were talking about how one you did where you were on scene in this, like, what'd you say? It was like you're just putting the mics on the wood on this farmhouse or something, right?
Yep. Yeah, so because the equipment that I have, I just have a little digital recorder. I plug all the microphones into it. It doesn't need external power. I can use batteries or like one of those portable battery packs. And so I can go anywhere, man. Like,
it's fucking cool,
yeah.
dude.
So we went up to Sinagua Malt. So that's another cool thing about the beer industry, and what I'm finding out more too with the food industry, because we are planning on expanding. Basically, Arizona food and beverage is basically what we're looking to cover. So wine, spirits, food, farms that are doing really cool shit. So like Sinagua Malt is, so in the Verde Valley, was it the Verde River? Yeah. Like there was, the water flow is like very minimal, right? So this organization got together and was like, hey, we need to figure out a way to get flow back to the Verde River, which basically feeds water into Phoenix, right? Like that's, and so in the prime time of the year, there's no water. Like, what the hell? So basically what they did was had a few farms change their crop to barley, which then could be malted and sold to brewers for grain that they need. It's like the primary ingredient when you're making beer. So this organization, Sinagua Malt, has saved like millions and millions of gallons of water for the Verde River by growing malt instead of like alfalfa, which is crazy. And there was the reason there's a market for it is because of craft beer. Yeah, you know, so these breweries want to buy the local malt. But you would ask a different question before that, though. Before I went up in that tangent, you're talking about Sinagua Malt. You were asking about the companies going outside, wine.
Oh no, doing your podcast.
Oh yeah. So Sinagua Malt, when we did it, we were at a farm, and I'm like, dude, there's no tables. It's not, you know, we're going to do this. And I looked over in one of the stalls where, you know, they would keep horses and shit. There's a little ledge, so I'm like, fuck, I can clamp on my boom arms like this one here, clamp that on, extend them out. Him and I can talk, and I have my recorder right there. So it was like in a little area of a barn.
And you're using
what kind of mics do you use?
ATR 2100s.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And the Zoom.
And the Zoom H6. Yeah.
That's tight.
Yeah. That's pretty much it, man.
There's a possibility we might do a couple mobile podcasts. So
yeah,
I might fucking
pick your brain.
Pick your brain on that.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Those Zooms are fucking cool little machines, man.
They are. That was like, so when I decided to take it mobile to go to the beer thing, I'd met this dude. It's funny, over the course of the last few years, a number of times that I've said to my wife, hey, I'm gonna go meet this guy I met online.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird one to say. She's used to it by now though. But no, so this dude in his Facebook,
you did that today.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, exactly. She's like, where at? I'm like, I don't really know. We'll find out. Yeah, I was Facebook living with her. No, I was FaceTiming with her.
Did you die?
Yeah, I'm here. All right, this is him. Get a good look. Take a screenshot.
Oh, wait. Is that who I waved to? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So, man, I lose train of thought really.
It was just the podcast and the how you go deep.
Oh, go mobile, yeah. So I met this dude's in a podcasting group, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna take my I'm gonna drive across the country on Route 66 on my motorcycle, and I'm gonna record podcasts. Anybody want to grab a beer? And this dude's podcast was really cool. I can't remember the name of it. I'm actually still friends with this dude, but he did a really cool. It was like alcohol in North Carolina. So he basically did the same thing where he travels all these places. But he was really good at production, where he made it kind of like an NPR style, where he's like, oh, these guys started
So he
this.
could sell it to radio stations and shit.
I don't know. I think just the way he liked to do it, like the way he liked to tell the story. And he wasn't real consistent. Like he would have like one come out and then like 6 weeks later another one because he had to edit all of it.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool thing. So I met this dude, right? I met this dude at Historic Brewing up in Flagstaff, and my wife's like, I'm going with you. And my father was like, yeah, me too. I'm like, I'm bigger than both you guys. Like, what are you going to do to yell help if this guy's a weirdo? So this dude, Mike, ended up being just a really, really cool dude. So he did a podcast, and he showed me the setup. So it was basically like this preamp going into his phone. He had an app on his phone. He was recording off of that, right? So that's what I bought. And like my first 3 episodes, if you listen to them, I'm pretty sure that I was just recording it on this phone recorder because I had shit plugged in and it just didn't sound good.
You learn.
Yeah. And I was not happy, man. I was not happy with it. And I told my wife, I'm like, all right, if I could just spend $350 on this 8.6, she's like, well, that like is it going to solve all these, you complain about shit about sound quality? I'm like, yes. And I bought it, and it was the best investment I've ever made for sure. Yeah. Everything else can fall to the back of my car as long as that is still, if I still have that, I'm good. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's been a journey, but we're looking to get into food now. So kind of taking the same approach of make the focus on the people that are making shit happen.
The same places or different places?
Different places, yeah.
Different places.
So Tap.thataz will stay Tap.thataz. Like that'll be like basically the beer extension of this bigger brand that we're working on called A Taste of AZ. So we want to do pretty much the same thing where we do podcasts, and we want to actually implement a video aspect to it.
Okay.
So we started recording the first video series. So the goal is to have this out in like March, but it's 5 videos about Arizona chefs that basically use local ingredients.
Oh, tight.
So the first one we did, the one that we recorded already was, if you ever heard of Cartwrights up in, yeah. So they just shut down. Their chef, Brett Vibber, is a badass. Dude's a forager. So like a whole piece of what he does, a huge piece of what he does is Arizona ingredients. So him and his chef team will they'll close for the night and they'll jump in the trucks if the weather's right and go pick like saguaro fruit or all kinds of wild shit, right? So
I like shit like that. That's shit like that's cool.
It's really cool, and this is all.
Don't you forge in WoW?
Fuck yeah, bro.
What's he forge?
Gold.
In WoW?
In WoW.
In World of Warcraft?
Yeah. Forge gold.
Forge gold. Yeah.
Sorry.
But no, there's people doing cool shit, man. People doing cool shit, and I love food, so like it's a perfect combination. You know,
you're getting another 40 pounds.
It's so much more fat, dude. It's so much more fat.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
No, seriously, getting like trying all the beers out now. Food.
All right, I got a quick question before we call this show. I was kind of going there, but have you tried Maynard from Tools wine?
I have.
What do you think of it?
It's good, man.
Yeah.
It's good. Well, once again, there's so many different kinds. Like at this point now, he has so many different varieties. I like it, man. I like it. Have you tried it?
No, I haven't tried it. I don't drink, but we got a couple friends that are really into wine that love it.
Yeah. It's good. Like he came in right. Like it wasn't like a dude. It's like, hey, I'm a rock star. I'm gonna put my name on this, and it's.
That's what. Yeah, a lot of people say he put in the work.
Yeah. Yep. I saw him one time in their tasting room. So we go. My mom comes out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love Tool. I'm so excited to check this place out. So we go, and it's like me and my mom and my wife, and I was talking to the bartender, whatever they call him, sommelier, the guy pouring the wine, right? So I was like, dude, is Maynard involved? Like, is he? He's like, yeah, man, he's really hands-on. He's here a lot. And in the back of their tasting room, there's a ladder that goes up into like a loft. And we were like maybe like 10 feet away from that. And my wife was like, hey, she's like, is that him? And I turn around, and there's this dude like all tatted up and shit and looked like a rock star. I'm like, no. She's like, no, the guy on the other side. And I looked. He was like 5 foot from me. I was like, I froze. I was starstruck, dude. I was like, she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, no.
It's fucking Maynard.
It's Maynard, yeah. She's like, well, at least look at him. I'm like, yeah, but I want it to be weird. And,
Yeah.
So he was there for like maybe a minute, did a couple of things, and I walked out, and I was like, oh, man. I was going to like take a picture of him, and I had all these things I was going to do. And then we go into the Pussifer store, and I told the girl about that, and she's like, yeah, she's like, he's a little different. Like, she's like, I was going to take a picture of him. She's like, he would have fucking been pissed. She's like, if you would have did that, she's like, you're lucky you didn't do that. She's like, that would have not ended well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? In hindsight, me seizing up was the best possible scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was weird. But
he's doing a lot of cool things too in the state. I mean, he's got the place in Tucson, right, and the place in Jerome.
he has a place. Yeah, he's got the place in Jerome.
I didn't know about Tucson.
Yeah, that's where his new. He's got some vineyards, I guess you'd call them.
Does he
I thought
really?
those are all in Jerome.
No, not all of them. He's got some in Tucson too.
Maybe Sonoyta.
Sonoyta, that's what it is.
Yeah, maybe like what is that, like a half hour, an hour south?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sonoyta, Wilcox, I think they have a really good wine scene too.
Yeah.
But he has, I don't know if it's open yet, but in Old Town Scottsdale, remember the Pink Pony? Like the steakhouse, like it was like a wooden front with it was like pink painted. Looked like a strip club, but it was a steakhouse. Yeah. So I think he bought that place. I don't know if it's open yet or not, but as like a restaurant. So like
I remember, didn't he own the Cat Eye?
I have no idea.
That club down there.
What's inside of the Pussifer store though?
Yeah.
Well, they changed that.
Like I don't understand it. Like it's just
it's like a branding.
Of memorabilia and just music and just stuff of what, Maynard?
Yeah, pretty well.
And tool shit?
Yeah, I mean a lot of it. No, not really tool shit. Mostly like Pussifer, just different. I mean all kinds of shit.
Like it's like a store that you walk in,
dude. It's actually, you know what? Now that it used to be a smaller place, and now it's a big place that has like big windows that overlook like the valley and stuff. It went across the street. That's big now. That's like a record store and things like that. Yeah. But the other place was almost like a kind of like, remember Spencer's? Did you guys have Spencer's?
Sure. Yeah, we grew up with that.
Yeah. So Spencer's, it was kind of like that, where you would find a Pussifer keychain in like 3 different alien colors, or you know what I mean, like kind of shit like that.
Bullshit.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, there's all kinds of good stuff going on here, like cider core. I don't know if you've ever had cider core over in Mesa. They do cider. Dude. The best cider I've ever had. And these dudes are starting to win awards. There's a really cool story behind it, where this dude is like a military vet. Like he was in Afghanistan or something and got hit by an IED twice, like within a week. Got all fucked up, like PTSD. Started making cider in the garage with his brother as like therapeutic, like something to focus on. And ended up just like going from not being able to read or talk or like just having some major issues to diving into the science of cider. And now this dude can do shit with cider that nobody's doing. Damn. And great dudes, like really, really cool dudes in their tap room. Really cool tap room too. They have a pizza place in there now too. This dude, Mike's Pizza. This dude is like top notch pizza maker. But if you go into their tap room, on one of their barrels, they have this piece of metal that is the track from the bulldozer, that this dude hit with an IED. So his buddies like got this piece of metal. This thing's heavy as shit. This IED like shredded this track off of this bulldozer he was in. So he has that as like a memory of like where he's come from.
Fuck,
dude.
You think that would give him PSD and shit?
Yeah, nah,
PTSD.
Yeah, dudes.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's a fucking trooper right there.
Yeah, and now he's making, dude, great cider too. So I mean, aside from the story and everything, the shit he's making is great. So people, that's what I want to do, is help people hear the story behind those places.
You're definitely doing it, brother.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Where can they get your book?
So the book is, we're trying to get it into every brewery that's in the book, and we're trying to get it as many tap rooms and breweries as we can across the state. So if you're in a brewery, look out for it. Ask them if they're carrying it, or you can just go to the arizonabeerbook.com.
Sweet. Cool. I'll put up links and shit for that.
Yeah, appreciate it,
What
man.
about like you got the IG or anything?
Yep, everything's just at the Arizona Beer Book. Pretty.
What about your shit?
Yeah.
So tapthataz is at tapthatazpodcast. Because some jabroni has tapthataz for some weird reason.
Damn.
I know. He's never posted.
You didn't want tapthataz one?
I know. That's a good one, actually. Yeah, I might see if that's available. Just tapthataz. That's where any of the podcast apps, you can listen to tapthataz podcast. And then follow A Taste of AZ. There's nothing posted yet, but as we're starting to film things and get things ready to launch, we'll do like stories and stuff like that. Yeah.
Very cool.
That'd be cool.
So yeah, man, just trying to shine a light on Arizona.
We appreciate it, man. Definitely.
Yeah. My pleasure, man. And thanks for having me here.
Oh,
dude.
no, dude, we appreciate you taking the time to come on.
Well, we can't wait
badass.
to see what you got coming next, man. You got to come back.
Yeah. Oh, I will.
Oh, for sure, dude.
With lots of food.
Hell
you guys
yeah,
eat,
brother.
right?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
We definitely eat, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually something that we want to key in on also is, you know, we would like to have some of those, you know, anybody that you think is cool, man, that you want to, you know, that was good on your podcast and you want to shoot us our way, you know, just let us know.
It seems like you guys are, what do you guys want to do with this? I mean, it seems like you guys get a good range of people just coming in and the same thing, telling stories. Like people
that's exactly what we want.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get people that are doing inspiring things, from filmmakers to business owners to just people who are creative.
Yeah.
People who inspire us.
People inspire us.
Yeah.
And then there's also selfish reasons. It's just a reason to hang out with my best friend every week and get super stoned.
Yeah.
So
that's how I started too, man. Right? That's it. That's the dream.
That is the dream, brother.
But yeah, so it's, you know, meeting people is great. So I got to tell my girlfriend too that I'm meeting someone that I met online. So.
That's cool. We're gonna go into the extra bedroom for an hour. So
yeah. So do you want to do shout outs real quick, McCoy?
Yeah. Check out Tales from the Flip Side podcast. That's CBSI presents Tales from the Flip Side every Monday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. You can find that on YouTube. Check out Flipside Table Breaks on the same YouTube channel. Check out This, That, and the Other podcast. Check out, let's see here, who else? Check out check out Strongheart Academy. Big shout out to Mike.
QuickScopeApparel.com.
There we go. So, hell yeah. Other than that, I think we're good to go.
Awesome. And make sure you get the Arizona Beer Book.
Fuck yeah.
And that is a wrap on Bogcast episode 66.
Bang!